Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Once again, it is Sovereign Saturday. Sovereign men build their own future. Sovereign men build their own future. Look, I'm gonna tell you something now. One of the things that a sovereign man will do is work in the present to influence the outcomes in his future. Now, let's be real. We never know what a future will happen, what can come up, and there's always variables. But what the sovereign man will do is do things so that he doesn't have to worry about it in the future. I'll give you an example. From my own life. Now, I promote, those who teach male exotic dancing and all of that because it's a great example of body game. And the thing is, I could have been one back in the 90s. But the reason I didn't, because I said, okay, there's a lot of stuff I want to do. I don't want that to be an issue. Because at the time I had political aspirations. So I said, okay, yeah, I can make some money. And trust me, I needed the money at the time. But I was just like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to do that because it could be a problem down the road. You got to think about everything you do now. How does it help you in the long term? See, a sovereign man is going to think 5, 10, 20 years ahead. And he's going to think, okay, my actions now, will they have a profound effect later? He's not going to live just totally in the moment and, just party and everything. He's going to think about it. With women, the majority of women I dealt with were women who wouldn't cause trouble down the road. That's why I don't worry about anything. If a woman comes out, a woman can't come out and say, oh, I did this or that. Right? That's terrible, that I wouldn't admit to. She can't say I did it. No woman can say that because one only dealt with the right type of women. Only dealt with women who were trying, for the most part. I made some mistakes, I was young. But for the most part, the women had their own thing. And then the ones I can every now and then I might Google one of them. And it's like, oh, you doing this. Oh, you doing this. Very outstanding women. Very well educated, very successful in their fields and everything. In fact, one of the worst women I might have dealt with, was actually studying to be a doctor. So if she completed everything, there's an MD out there who could probably say the worst. So I was like, And even then, most she could say was, well, he wasn't trying for a relationship. But I thought about that, That's why only 2 children I have are the ones from marriage, because I thought about that. Or even with my co-parent, ex-wife, co-parent, even dealing with that, I said, okay, if things don't work out, is this somebody I could still deal with even if things don't work out? Things didn't work out. She was just here yesterday. So it was just like, she still does stuff for me, still supports me, because I was thinking about it. In your life, you build your own future by building on the present. I built my future with my educational background. I really built my future. Now, I don't do anything related to what I learned, but I learned some stuff, and also it did bring money in. It did give me some great experiences and everything. But when I was there, I was thinking future. And for what I'm educated in, trust me, it's kept me out of some trouble. And I'll leave it at that. I never get specific because I love to see the look on someone's face when they find out. But I was always thinking ahead. See, you got to think, am I going to spend money like crazy? Now, one of my biggest mistakes was really, it wasn't even totally on me. It wasn't totally on me. It was just, I'll say, some family circumstances messed up my credit. But that's because, I'll just say the rest of the family didn't think about some of their actions. But I thought about my own. So there were certain things I didn't do, certain things I ain't spend on, certain things I'll put into place. In fact, I'll use an example. I make a lot of money through Zoom. I make a lot of money through Zoom doing webinars and stuff. But I was on Zoom a couple years before it got big. I was on there already before it got big during the pandemic, because I'm thinking ahead. Even a lot of stuff that I even talk about now on the channel, Beyond Sovereign Saturdays, I was already on it. I was already on it and I already saw the repercussions of some things. So that's why I don't talk about some other things. Because I can, because you got to think, okay, how's this going to affect me 5 years down the road? You got to think that every action you take, you got to really try to extrapolate and say, okay, I'm doing this now, I'm getting into this business. How's it going to be 5 years down the road? And no, it's not going to be perfect because, like I said, so many variables can come in, but you can have a great control over it. Because right now, I'm benefiting off of decisions I made 5 years ago, 6 years ago, even 7 years ago. Certain moves that I made, and it's like, boom, trust me, I'm seeing the benefit. But I've created a situation where I'm in this place that I'm in now and on multiple areas of life. And like I said, even with women, there's a woman like step out and say, well, Rom did this, this, and this. I was like, yeah, okay, but nothing bad. Because I avoided dealing with a woman who could be a long-term issue. I avoided dealing with a woman who, if I were to get her pregnant, she would be a problem down the road. I was actually picky with my joint. Because I said, okay, I look at a woman and say, okay, she fine, yeah, she receptive. Could she be a problem somewhere down the road? Oops. Boom, wouldn't deal with it. And you got to, as a man, a sovereign man, you got to do that. As a sovereign man, you building your sovereignty. So you got to ask yourself, okay, I'm doing this now. Can this possibly hurt me? Like a great example is you get some people want to cheat or do something like illegal and think they getting over. You always get caught. You always get caught, or you put yourself in a position where somebody could like check. Because let's be real. Anybody out here now, they know that they're being checked. Any content creator. I already know that I've been doxxed before, people checking, people constantly checking. But then I put some stuff into place to make it, let's just say, very hard. Very, very hard to really track me. But that's because I'm thinking down the road. So everybody else needs to do the same thing. As a sovereign man, you got to think, all right, the action I'm taking right now, which I have 100% control over, how will this affect me down the road? Let me do some stuff to minimize any problems down the road. Because like I said, variables always come in, some can always come in out of the blue. But you got to think in the now, what you're doing now, is it going to have a repercussion? Like if you do anything that could possibly have a negative repercussion, you got to take responsibility for it and deal with it and maybe even avoid it. And that could be some economic situation, but it could be something shady with it. It could be dealing with the wrong type of woman who could be a problem. You got to think about all of that. All right. Even your associates. If you're talking with somebody, you got to be, you might meet somebody and you're like, yeah, they kind of shady. Yeah, let me shy away from them. You got to do that because that's your future. That's how you build your future. You do as much as you can to control the outcomes that will come later down the road, as much as you can. I'm going to emphasize once again, there's always a variable, but you can actually build stuff now to deal with it. There's a lot of stuff I might do or put into place now that I'm not worried about. I'll give you an example. Now. Okay, everybody, YouTube is a great platform and everything, but I actually started putting into place years ago in case there was a situation where the channel got snatched. And it could have been for whatever reason. I always think, okay, let me put some stuff in place, and I got several platforms outside of YouTube. If something happened to this, I can just be like, boom. And actually probably would make more money. So, yeah, honestly, would make more money. And that day will probably come when I'm like not posting as much here, but on my outside platforms. But for that reason. And then if something happened with them, I can always switch over. And there's like Rom TV, that's put in place just for that eventuality, or possible outcome. You got to think ahead. So anyway, that's all I have for today. As always, keep rising to become a sovereign man. Peace and blessings.